In in looking at your tenure in the department, there were, including yourself, had a handful of department chairs.
Not many, actually.
Well, but when you think about it, Bob Hennis was in office from 1965 to 71.
Yes.
And we've already commented about, we've both been commenting about the leadership that he was taking in there. Things were grim economically there, and he
Boeing were hiccuping badly at that time.
Well, and the population of Seattle had gone from 625,000 to 485,000. It was really grim.
Prosperity of the state had plunged, yes.
Exactly. So Dale Carlson became the first chair after Bob that you and I knew, and he held the position from 1971 to 76, and after that became Dean of the College.
Yeah.
And what would you pick up on if you had to single out some of the things that Dale had really put a stamp on the department with?
We did a lot of hiring in that period.
Right.
And essentially, whatever a department's going to be, it's going to be because of the faculty.
Agreed.
And I don't really know the names of all of them, but I suspect it's been a success story. They're probably most of them around, or in some way or other, right. And it's been quite a success story.
I'd pick up another thing that I think is very important. We had, in 1973, we had one woman graduate with a bachelor's degree.
That's correct,
okay.
Yes.
So, that was Karen White.
Yeah.
And then looking around at the issues of folks who graduated out of there, the first pickup in numbers, Dale's daughter Joan graduated the same year that Janet Yates graduated, and she's now a professor at
San Jose State.
San Jose State.
In construction, incidentally.
But in 1978, we had 14 BSc women graduates, and Dale had a huge influence on this, I think.
He made it in a welcoming environment.
But the other part, the next year, in 1979, we had 21 women BSc graduates. That's changed the tone of the profession, and I think that's very positive.
Over that period since then, these people have gone out into practice. I think with very often great success.
With great distinction.
And I think they've helped the profession a great deal. They've certainly helped the internal life of the student body.
Yes.
I mean, I was not always delighted by the boorishness of engineering students.
Right.
That's the kindest thing I can say. The influx of these women who largely would not accept it has changed it, and I think the behaviour now is very professional.
I pick up on two things of great importance there. We've had fairly large fraction of women graduate students, particularly in environmental and transportation. But something that I very, very much like is our women students have taken leadership roles in the American Society of Civil Engineers student chapter, and they've done stunningly well.
Right.
And the other part that they've distinguished themselves in the Civil Engineering Honor Society, Chi Epsilon, as officers, and very large fraction of the membership.
That's correct.
They're distinguished, and this is very, very good.
Yes, I think it's been a joyous change in the department.
Been a very positive feature.
Yeah.
One other thing I think we could tie to Dale's term there when he became dean was working with Mr. Vala, who came through with a large amount of funds and establishing the Valle Scandinavian exchange.
Well, there were two remarkable endowments to the department with respect to students. The one was I was hired to replace Fred Rhodes, and Fred left a goodly portion of his fortune.
He left $500,000 in 1984.
Exactly, to the department for undergraduate scholarships.
Right.
We have no trouble supporting something like a quarter to a third of our undergraduates with those Rhodes scholarships and other very generous endowments from people to look after undergraduates. It's remarkable. The trouble's always been at the graduate level. And this is where Carlson, with the Valle money,
has made a huge difference at the margin.
First of all, it brought an international flavour to the graduate program, with the people coming from the 5 Scandinavian countries, which have done us, I think, great help in the department. I mean, they're differently educated and therefore different backgrounds.
Agreed.
and making different demands of the graduate program.
Right.
They were all extremely able, but in return we sent people.
I have one of my most recent master's graduates, Adrian Miller, is over in Sweden right now.
Right, and this is a great opportunity for a young person beginning a profession to see how it goes on somewhere else.
But Dale, in retirement, remains director and takes a very deep personal interest in every exchange student. It's been
oh
remarkable.
Yes, I mean he's like a granddaddy to them,
and and they appreciate it too.
Yes, quite. Yeah.
If we look at Bob Sylvester was in briefly when he led the Institute for Environmental Studies, and then he came in for 1976 to 78 to run our department. And I would have to characterize that we were looking hard about how we should structure ourselves into programs or divisions or whatever. And I think Bob was very influential in making sure we got ourselves organized into effective units.
I suspect he did. I mean, it's not a topic that has ever interested me terribly, is how we are arranged.
Right, but it does matter for getting work done.
Certainly it matters to getting work done, make sure you've got secretaries, technicians and all the rest in the right places at the right time and things like that. If you're going to run serious laboratory programs, you need people there.
Right.
And at that time, if you're going to be serious in producing 2 or 3 papers a year, you need people to help you produce them.
Right.
I mean, in the typing and the operational sense. I don't think it's so today, but...
no, we all have word processors,
exactly,
so we're less efficient.
Yeah, but I mean, at that time, there was no doubt about it. Most of the faculty were not doing that type of thing. And,
right.
So these very important managerial things, I think he did very well. As I say, they never have terribly interested me as long as I...
No, fortunately, he had it in place and you didn't have to worry about it.
Exactly. I mean, it worked fine. That's it.
Okay.
Yes, quite.
Now, Neil Hawkins led the department from 1978 to 1987, and a lot happened during his tenure. We went through interesting financial times in the university in the early 80s. He certainly did a huge amount to improve facilities.
He did.
But in 1983, we had 9 faculty retirements. That was a big change in a faculty of roughly about 36.
Yes, it was it was a sad time and also an opportunity. And I think it sorted out the problem that had existed when I came in 1970,
right.
13 years before. Everyone subsequently put on that payroll had understood clearly that there was work to do, and it involved research,
right,
teaching, and
everybody we hired from when myself, Nancy,
sure,
and John were hired.
Had no ambiguity about
no,
this.
No, it was crystal clear.
Yes, and that's fine. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Right.
And
there were 5 faculty hires also in 1983, which means we're all very busy doing the interviewing that goes with that.
Yes, that's a very difficult time for the faculty, the hiring of colleagues.
Right. We can handle about 2 hires a year, and that consumes us pretty well.
Yes, and I think we also understand that we're not hiring people on a probationary basis. We're
right.
hiring them in the sense that as long as they pay attention to the shop, they've got a career here for the rest of their life.
We anticipate any colleague we hire growing and becoming an international leader.
Yes, and therefore one of us in that sense.
Right.
I mean, but it's not probationary in the sense of you'll get tenure after 6 years. That is not the consideration at all.
No.
We do not have another go at them later on. We take it for granted.
Yeah.
So, but the faculty handle it. It's not a pretty time when they're hiring.
Right. But we pull ranks together after we've hired.
Oh, once you hired the person, even though you voted no, you welcome that person aboard.
Exactly.
The jury's in.
Jury's in.
Yeah.
It's voted.
Yeah.
Welcome a colleague.
Yeah.
Also in that time and under...
I'm not sure who was hired in that time.
we have a list. Actually, we have a list.
Well, we have this remarkable book.
We have this absolutely wonderful book, the part put together for Centennial, Civil Engineering, 1898 to 1998. that our colleagues,
Yes, yeah.
the late Art Kramer,
And then our three colleagues. Yes.
and our three emeritus colleagues, Bob Sylvester, Joe Colcord, and Bob Seabloom.
Yeah.
This is an extraordinary document
Remarkable
documenting the department. So
Yeah.
we have information here that any graduate ought to have.
Yep, that's right.
Is how that goes. But also in that window, that's when the extraordinary gift as the bequest from the Rhodes estate, Fred Rhodes estate, came in as a $500,000, which has grown very nicely.
Yes, quite.
And that has really helped a lot of our undergrads.
It does. It provides marginal help, which makes life
At the margin that matters.
So much more comfortable for them. Yes.
So on then to we'll come back to your tenure as chair from 87 to 92, and then John Ferguson from 92 to 97.
Fine.
And John's tenure was just a couple of years before you retired. So we'll roll that into other aspects of the discussion.